In part 1 of this series, we looked at the basic triads: major, minor, and diminished. In this installment, we're going to look at 4-note chords, also known as tetrachords. We've already laid the groundwork for these chords by discussing triads. As you've probably already guessed, to make a 4-note chord, we simply take the basic triad and add a third on top of it. Before we get into the examples, remember to let the name of the chord help you. Now, what do I mean by that? The first part of the chord name tells us what note the chord is starting on, or what the root note of the chord is. The second part tells us whether the chord is major or minor. Major chords have a major third. Minor chords have a minor third. The third part tells us to add the seventh. But which seventh? Major or minor? Generally, the seventh will be the same as the third, or unless otherwise specified. That is, major third with major 7, and minor third with minor 7. There are, of course, exceptions to this rule, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. Let's construct a major 7 chord. For example, to make C major 7, we start with the basic C major triad, C, E, and G, and simply add another major third to the stack, B. This new note, B, has transformed our garden variety C major triad into a C major 7 chord. We'll try it once more using a different major triad. To make an A-flat major 7 chord, we start with the A-flat major triad, A-flat, C, and E-flat, and stack another major third on top, G. Let's go on to minor 7 chords. For the minor 7 chord, it's exactly the same principle. We have our minor triad, and we simply add another minor third on top to give us the minor 7 chord. For example, to make C minor 7, we start with the C minor triad, C, E flat, and G, and stack another minor third on top, B flat. By adding B flat, the minor 7th, onto the C minor triad, we have created a C minor 7 chord. To make F minor 7, we start with the F minor triad, F, A flat, and C, and we add another minor third to the stack, E flat, to make our F minor 7 chord. Pretty easy, right? Remember that general rule from a few minutes ago? Well, now we come to one of the exceptions. Dominant 7th chords share both the major third and the minor 7th. To construct a dominant 7th chord, for example, C dominant 7th, we start with the major triad, and instead of adding the major 7, B, which would give us a C major 7 chord, we add the minor 7th, B flat. We can write this chord on paper as C major minor 7. However, the conventional way is to get rid of the major and minor parts and just write it out as C7. Why do we do this? Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't really know. One explanation is that in rock and pop musics, the major 7 chord is relatively uncommon, whereas the dominant 7th chord is used all the time. Hence, people organically settled on the convention of using C7 to denote a dominant seventh, and C major 7 to denote a major 7. Now that I have thoroughly confused you, let's look at our last two chords for the lesson. Having learnt the method for constructing these chords, these last two chords will come very naturally. The minor 7 flat 5 chord is, well, simply a minor 7 chord with a flattened 5. We already know how to construct the minor 7th chord. So now just flatten the 5th, and there we go. Finally, the minor major 7 chord. You already know what we have to do. Construct the minor triad, and instead of adding the minor 7th, we add the major 7. That's all we have time for in this lesson. Stay tuned for the third and final part of this series, where we'll discuss tensions. Until then, take care.